11 paintings produced in the summer of 2024 about a wrestler, two brothers, a crashed aircraft, and a North American migrating fish. This is The Wrestler, Volume 1. The Salmon. Saul Mann was born with a fish's head instead of a human one, that of a sockeye salmon, an animal that spends most of its life in the ocean. But, one day, a switch flips in their brain, and every part of them radically changes. Their bodies mutate and grow. They swim upstream. They are driven by things they cannot understand but must listen to. Spawning salmon are monsters. They become bright red, growing a humped back and a toothed beak as they double in size. They are guided by God's invisible hand. Salmon lose everything, every part of the world they know. They shed every inch of themselves, racing towards a species-extending moment of ecstasy. Instead of a stream, God's warm, calloused palm led Saul Mann to the wrestling ring. He cannot hold a retail job, he scares the customers, and he cannot find a girlfriend, much less a wife, much less a family. He could never be human. But Saul doesn't need it, because he has something better. He has wrestling. While the other guys need to put on costumes and build a character, Saul Mann has a gimmick built in. When everyone else is a mask, Saul gets to be himself. He is known, intimately, by the thousands of faceless bodies that make up the crowd. An undulating mass of people that becomes a single creature, excreting cheers and boos in the stadium's low lighting. The crowd's presence can be felt in every moment of Saul's life, personified as two faceless figures, a powder blue sheet ghost and a man wearing an astronaut's helmet. The crowd's near omnipresent gaze has accompanied Saul through almost every stage of his life. Saul loves wrestling, and it's killing him. Someone cannot wrestle professionally for 20 years without it taking a toll, even if they are taking care of themselves, and Saul is not. He is a man at the crossroads, trapped between increasing pressure, trying to find how much of himself he will give, how many pounds of flesh he will let be taken from him, so that he can keep experiencing the rapturous joy of getting his ass beaten live on air for thousands of people in the crowd to watch. Now, Saul Mann stands in the ring, his future, past, and present splayed out to him like a storybook. Standing above the body of a man he has not yet fought, while looking him in the eye, Saul contemplated his life and everything that made him into the wrestler. Family happiness. Saul Mann's brother is the only one really like him. Born with a whole salmon instead of a skull, the thing that should bring them together only divides them further. Brother Tom's salmon can curl in on itself, wrapping its flesh around itself until he can fit a rubber mask over it. He can spend hours every morning, carefully applying makeup and prosthetics, and pretend to have a human face. With the ability to go stealth, to not only fit into a traditional mold of masculinity, but to exemplify it, Brother Tom believes it's Saul Mann's fault that he fails to pass as human. While his only remaining family finds a home in the ring, Brother Tom enlists to serve his country. He crashes and dies on his first flight. Sacrifice leads to fulfillment for Saul Mann. As he gives and gives, and the ring greedily takes, he finds only fulfillment. When archaeologists find his skeleton thousands of years after he has died, after everyone he knows has been forgotten, they will say he was complete. They will say this was a man who was fulfilled, against all odds. The epilogue. The cheap adhesive on the back of wrestling promos is never meant to be permanent, merely a momentary method of holding a bright advertising. 2 days or 3 centuries after the crowd last saw him, Saul Mann is gone. He could be retired, dead, or something else, but the audience will never get to know. Despite his long, hard life rendered in heavy oil paints, the wrestler will one day fade. His inevitable absence is depicted in ethereal watercolors. Whether his last moments were peaceful or mournful, whether he ran from the end or walked into its warmth, it's all over now.